I'm so glad that you all got an opportunity to come out to this Black History Month program. It is very special and it is unique in view of the fact that we're doing something that I've never done. Not saying that it's never been done before, but I've never done. We have an opportunity to honor some very special people in our community. I'm going to hit myself. Some very special people in the community that need to be recognized as often as possible. And it's unfortunate that we have heard the tragic news of Maurice White passing away. And it was so funny that when I heard that Maurice White passed away, it kind of struck me for this reason, maybe a little differently than other people. I had been thinking about that song, Remember, and because I was going to tie Remember into this program. And it is very important that we remember our people who help us and help this community by helping other people. And of course, it is the kind of music and kind of song that really gets you going, and it actually sticks in your mind. I think that's very important for the message to be so festive and so important. And even in that song, he talks about the stars and what happens on the 21st of September. And that 21st of September should be like that for all of us every day in our lives. And with that being said, I would like to welcome you all to the Danforth Memorial Library. And I'm going to take an opportunity right now very briefly, and I promise you I'm going to do like Elizabeth Taylor told her fifth husband. I won't keep you long. I promise you, I won't keep you long. But welcome to the Danforth Memorial Library. This library was built in 1904 as a result of the 1902 fire in the city of Paterson. It is actually built in honor of Charles Danforth, whose family owned the Cook and Danforth Locomotive Company, one of 7 locomotive companies in the city of Paterson. And what makes it also very special is because it was in tribute to him, built by his wife, who was the daughter of John Ryle. Now, for those who don't know, John Ryle is the father of the silk industry in the city of Paterson. His home is on the corner of Mill Street and Mill and Ellison. Where you make the turn to go up that little hill, that's where his house is. And it is a municipal historic landmark. The history part that I want to talk about today is as you came up the stairs, you saw an exhibit. And of course, I'm not upset, but I was telling the chief that I said, coming up those stairs, I said, I bet you it's probably easier to get to heaven than coming up those stairs. Frederick Douglass came to the city of Paterson as a result of Harper's Ferry. He was running from the slave catchers. He was in New York. He was running from the slave catchers. And in running from the slave catchers, he went to Hoboken. Now, here's a story that you are probably not going to hear too often because not many people may know. He went to his girlfriend's house, whose name was Ottilia Assing, and she lived in Hoboken. She happened to be a white German Jew, and she also taught music, and she was basically a scholar. She was wealthy with finances coming from her family from Europe, and with that being said, she was able to finance a lot of Frederick Douglass's activities as a abolitionist. And so he came to Paterson as a result of running from the slave catchers. And when I first read this story in his bio, I said, well, who would bring him in the dead of night from Hoboken to Paterson? Who would do that? You know, and as I started researching and I found out who it was, his lover, girlfriend, his friend, who happened to be female. Let me say it that way. His friend, who happened to be female, it made perfect sense. Because I know that my wife would probably do some things for me that other folks say, not me. So I can understand it to some degree how she may have wanted to help him in that aspect. He came to Paterson because the Erie line, which is part of the New Jersey Transit System line now, which still runs from Jersey City stops in a number of stops, but it stops here in Paterson and moves on to Suffern. And on from, actually it stops in Ramapo, and then from Ramapo on to Suffern. You get off that train, you get another train to Rochester where he lived. So that is, I also believe that part of the reason the Presbyterians may have come to Paterson is because of the Godwin Street AME Zion Church, which is now First AME Zion, which is right over here on, I always get confused when I'm talking, on Summer and Ellison. That church was founded and built in 1834 and was the only, from 1834 to 1865, it was the only church in the city of Paterson for African Americans. And again, it happens to be AME Zion. Now, what is interesting about that, in terms of history and this conversation, Harriet Tubman was AME Zion, Frederick Douglass was AME Zion, and so was Sojourner Truth. So, and of course, coming to Paterson, with catching that train here, he may have had some connection with Reverend William Serrington, who was the first pastor of the First AME Zion Church. And this, again, this is 1834. In 1835, there's an article printed in a newspaper where he was arrested for stealing a horse, but it wasn't him. Even then, we were confused. And what was so fascinating is the retraction, or the article that he wrote as a rebuttal was so, it was very interesting. I mean, almost to the point that you had to read it. I did. I had, read it twice to really understand exactly what he was saying in the context that he was saying. And of course it comes to my mind that everybody was, all African Americans, even in the 19th century, were not all slaves and dumb and stupid. You know, you had a lot of really bright, intelligent African American people. And I can't tell you to go and look it up because you won't find it. It is in the Paterson Guardian, which was founded in 1925. Those papers are probably, I know that they exist at the library. There's a possibility you can go online at, and I forgot where it is, that you can find that information. The second person in that, down in that display, is Abraham Lincoln. And of course we all know, he never did come to Paterson, but he did have some excuse the word, I'm going to say it this way, some Confederates, people who helped him in order to get elected in 1861. And the person who was the Republican Party spokesman was George Lowe. George Lowe was an abolitionist. His father was an abolitionist who owned a cotton mill. But George Lowe also lived right here on Auburn and Broadway. And of course, I don't know if I didn't tell you, but Paterson in those days, Broadway was called Old York Road. Auburn Street before 1861 was called East Carroll Street. And it wasn't changed until 1862 as a result of Captain Hugh Irish, who died in Antietam, and died in the Civil War in Antietam. And the other thing is John Wilkes Booth. Now, of course, I can't blame this gentleman I'm getting ready to mention. I can't blame him for what his brother did, but John Wilkes' brother had come to Paterson 2 weeks before Abraham Lincoln's assassination. He was also an actor, and he used to perform downtown Paterson. Paterson was a hot place. I don't know what happened, but it used to be a hot place. Now it's just hot in a different way. But anyway, and of course,
excuse me, was that Edwin Booth?
It was. Thank you for that, not a clarification, but thank you for that information. It was Edwin Booth. The other thing is, in 1863, no, actually September 27th of 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which didn't go into effect until January 1st of 1863. Now, why that is important is because even though the Emancipation said that we were free, but we really had no rights. And it wasn't until, and again, February, being African American History Month, which is something that may be news to you, in February 11th of 1862, the 13th Amendment was ratified. And ratified means it was sent to all of the states for consent to make the 13th Amendment the 13th to make it the 13th Amendment, and it didn't become law or an amendment until December 6th of 1862. Now, why the 13th Amendment is so important? Because it was actually tested, not as a national subject, but it was actually tested in Paterson. Now, why it was tested? Because the 13th Amendment actually gives African Americans the ability to sue, and we've been doing it ever since. And what happened in 1911 is her name, Miniver Miller and two friends wanted to go to the Rivoli Theater downtown Paterson. Now, in those days, African Americans had to sit in the balcony. Now, and she wanted to sit in the mezzanine section. To sit in the mezzanine section only cost a nickel for white people, but to sit in the balcony for black people cost 25 cents. She railed and carried on to the point where she sued. She sued the city of Paterson and won her case and won $500. That's a pretty hefty fine for a nickel. Now, that's very important because that law was tested in the city of Paterson in 1911. And it had, again, it's the 13th Amendment. So that's what that display, oh, then, in March 27th, 1968, Martin Luther King came to Paterson, and we all know that story, and if you don't, I'll just tell you a little bit. He came to Paterson as a result of raising funds. In spite of what you may have been told for him coming to Paterson, yes, it had to do with civil unrest, but the biggest part of him coming had to do with him raising funds for the Poor People's Campaign. And he was raising money for the Second March on Washington, which would have taken place on August 28th of 1968, but he was killed before that happened. And of course, in March 17th of 2010, the Bethel AME Church, but in those days, in 1967, the Bethel AME Church was called the Community Baptist Church of Love. And as a result of Dr. King's coming, that building has become a municipal landmark in the city of Paterson. Boom. So that's that display. And if you come upstairs, the display upstairs is all about African American women. If you get an opportunity to look at it, by no means does it represent the hundreds of thousands of African American women who have made major contributions to not only this city, but to this country and to the world. So if you get an opportunity, it is just a brief suggestion of what we have given to this country. At this time, let's see. I just want to talk one more thing that has to do in the historic vein. Some of you may have been hearing me talk about the African Shore in the city of Paterson. The African Shore is actually the birthplace of the African American community in Paterson, and it's located on River Street, from West Broadway to the Arch Street Bridge, up Governor to Straight Street, down Straight Street to Broadway, back down Broadway to Main, and back to the river. That area was considered the African Shore. Now, why that is important, please come in. Why that is important is because, again, it is the birthplace of the African American community, but it is also the birthplace of 11 churches in this city that still have thriving congregations and still exist today. They all got their start in this district. The other thing is, it is actually part of the Underground Railroad, and also it is also the Godwin Street Amy Zion Church, and as I mentioned, First Amy Zion it was renamed that in 1949. But the Godwin Street Amy Zion Church was also part of the Underground Railroad. It couldn't have been more than 500 yards from the Excelsior Coffee and Spice Mill, which was the hideout, for lack of a better word, for the runaways and enslaved people in the city of Paterson. And in doing my research, I found, let me finish this part. Again, about the Underground Railroad being in that area. One of the most recent events in the city of Paterson is, as it pertains to that area, is in 2011, as a result of Hurricane Irene and the devastation by the flooding of the Passaic River. President Obama came to the city of Paterson to survey that damage. And in doing that, he stood in the middle of the Main Street Bridge. And unknown to the president, the governor who was with him, the congressman, the senator, and two other mayors, including our mayor, Jeff Jones, none of them realized that you have the first African-American sitting president standing on the birthplace of the African-American community in the city of Paterson. And with that being said, there was in 2015, Congressman John Conyers introduced a bill. You may have heard last year they were talking a lot about saving the bees. And he introduced a bill called Saving America's Pollinators. And before I even realized what I was writing about, I had already written in a proposal to make that area part of an arboretum. And not to belittle anybody, an arboretum, for those who may not know, an arboretum is a tree garden or a garden. And I wanted it to be along the banks of the Passaic River in this African Shore District. And of course, after reading the act that he introduced, what Saving the American Pollinators has to do with saving, growing trees that bloom, that the bees can pollinate, by which to pollinate the food that we eat, and it's a big biological story. But in an effort to make that area even more special, I have received as part of a donation the first tree to go in that spot when it is actually designated. And what I'm looking for in the designation is to get the Paterson Historic Preservation Commission to either make that district part of the downtown district, give us a district of our own, and if nothing else, give us a marker that says the African Shore. And I have already started working on the marker, and it is actually 3 pieces of granite, red, black, and green. And the red will talk about the blood and the historic value of the churches. The black will be talking about the Underground Railroad and the fact that, the red will talk about the birthplace of the African American community. The black will talk about the birthplace of the churches, and the green will celebrate President Obama. And I have those stones in my possession. They have not been inscribed as of yet. But I do have it, and that is what my concept and my idea would be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to at some point reach out to each and every one of you and see if you would possibly sign a petition. And I won't call it a petition, but something that I can, as an addition, present to the Historic Preservation Commission as a consent that the public, the African American community, would love to see it happen. It's unfortunate that I have received numerous letters from numerous organizations and professional people in the environmental arena, in the educational arena, and I have to say this, and maybe I shouldn't, it's unfortunate that I have gotten very little response from the African American community, and it is ours, and it's our history, but a very little support. And I would love to, and maybe some will say, I didn't know, but I'm going to see that you do. And so I'll get down to the business of the day. Again, I'd like to thank you all for coming. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Shambe Burton to come up and do our libation.
All right. For those who may have seen libation done before, or maybe you haven't, libation is a cultural, African, traditional type of form which takes place where we recognize our ancestors, those that came before us, and laid the foundation for us to be where we are today and go where we will go in the future. When you look at brothers like Mr. Jimmy Richardson, he's someone that I respect very much, just like many of you in this room, because he upholds our history and our culture. And one of the reasons why some of the young people of today are so confused and so, misdirected and misguided is because they're not aware of their rich, prideful history and culture. So Jimmy Richardson will give you dates, he'll give you times, he'll give you places, he'll tell you what color socks. And that's things that we really need to remember. So the way this goes is, what we do is, the tradition is for us to take water, which is a natural element, and pour it into the earth, which is also natural element. And what comes from the earth as we pour water into it? Life. That's the representation of this plant here, right? So it's just like our children. We pour information into our children, and life, which is the fruit of our community, which bears, comes afterwards. Is that right? So as we take this water and pour it into the plant, what we do is I'll say Ibaye, which in the Yoruba language means, it's funny when it's a different language. It's like so shall it be, and you say Ashe, which means almost like bringing it into existence. Does everybody follow me? Yes. So we will say, for all of our ancestors who have died and laid the pavement and foundation for us to live this day, we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. And the reason why I do it 4 times is so that we can cover all 4 corners of the planet Earth, north, south, east, and west, because that's where all of our ancestors have laid their feet on this planet. Everywhere on this planet you have had African people. If you don't know now, you know we telling you, okay? So we say, for those who built this country, who built Europe, the Caribbean, and the motherland of Africa, we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. For those ancestors in the northeastern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere who came through what we call the Ma'afa, which means a great tragedy. The transatlantic slave trade, who gave their lives. Hundreds of millions of Africans have died. To them we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. For those African warriors that didn't go out without a fight, they fought to the last blood, tooth and nail. And to those sisters who would rather jump off of the boat than come to the shores of the Western Hemisphere and be enslaved, we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. To those who did make it here and fought, struggled, and persevered, who took humiliation, denigration, and some of the worst treatment that has ever been seen on the planet Earth, but yet we are still here, and we are still strong, and we will be here forever. To them we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. For those people who have persevered, what I will say, and if you will say, the worst tragedy on the planet Earth, no other group of people have went through what we went through, and I'm saying that here. Have their names taken away, their culture, their family. Just imagine your child being ripped away from you at birth and you will never see them again. It's something we couldn't imagine. And for those people who went through that and still trotted on and made a way for us, we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. For people like Gabriel Prosser and Nat Turner and Denmark Vesey, those people who fought and insurrections and fought slavery, people in Haiti like Toussaint L'Ouverture and Boukman and Dessalines, those people who fought tooth and nail and were unafraid and undoubted. We say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. For those people in the civil rights movement, right, who sat and picketed and protested and were faced with vicious dogs and water hoses and humiliation. To those people that we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. And a group of freedom fighters that I feel are never brought to the light. We're talking about people from the Black Power movement, the Black Liberation Army, the Black Panther Party, the Revolutionary African movement. Those people who say, yes, we will stand and we will fight and we will not continue to take this denigrating condition and treatment. We say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. To those musicians, to those actors, to those authors, to those thespians, to those mamas and grandmamas and daddies and fathers and papas and babas who are no longer with us, we say Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe, Ibaye, Ashe. Now to you all, we will want you all to call out, come on in, brother. We will want you to all to call out those people that may be in your family specifically, or maybe some greats who are no longer with us that the world also know. What I would like to do for everyone to get their chance, we do this first row. We're going to go row by row so we can feel the spirit and name of our ancestors as we as we represent and show them some love. Is that okay for everybody? Brother Chief.
Allard and Mary Moody.
Allard.
And Mary Moody.
Allard and Mary Moody, we say Ibae. 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 Sister.
Yes, for my great-grandmother, Missy Evie Medora
Grandma Missy Eva Medora
Briggs.
Briggs. Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Carrie Moni Holmes, my grandmother.
For our grandmother Carrie Moni Holmes, we say Ibae. 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 Brother K.
Grandma Eunice.
Grandma Eunice, we say Ibae. 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 Young brother.
Grandma Sarah.
Grandma Sarah. Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Auntie Ivy.
Auntie.
Eileen.
Auntie Eileen, we say Ibae. 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 Brother Smallwood.
Dashi Marie Smallwood.
Dashima Reese Smallwood, we say Ibae. 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 Brother.
My grandfather, Robert E. Capers.
Robert Lee Capers. Robert Lee Capers, we say Ibae. 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 You're not getting tired, are you? No,
sir.
All right. Young brother.
We don't have anyone.
He doesn't have anyone, he said?
Just pass.
Huh?
Pass.
Just pass him? All right, all right. To the ancestors that this young brother may not speak forward, but without them, there'll be no him. We say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
My uncle J. Hargrove.
Uncle J. Hargrove, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Eva Mae Kelly.
Eva Mae Kelly, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
James Mary and Queenie Richardson.
James Mary and Queenie Richardson, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Johnny and Viola Hargrave.
Johnny and Viola Hargrave, we
Yes.
say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
I would say my grandmother, Michelle McCullers.
To Michelle, Grandma Michelle McCullers, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
My mom and dad, Raymond and Irma Nelson. Raymond and Irma Nelson.
Raymond and Irma Nelson, mom and dad, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Mary Coley and William Coley.
To Mary Coley and William Coley, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Mom and Dad Lou Gilmore and Sylvia Gilmore.
Mom and dad, Lou Gilmore and Sylvia Gilmore, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
My mother Lillian Womble.
Mama Lillian Womble. Ibae. 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 Brother Bilal.
Yeah, to my father, Alfonso Salahuddin, and my grandmother, Rosa.
To dad, Baba Alfonso Salahuddin, and Grandma Rosa, we say Ibae. 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 All right, as we go into this side, I just want to say these people mean everything to you. Is that right?
Yes.
So we're not trying to take a lot of time, but we just want to express our love and gratitude for these people who came before us. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Mahari Moody.
Mahari Moody, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Aunt Marge.
Aunt Marge. All right, Aunt Marge. Ibae. 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 Sister.
To my grandmother, Daisy Lockett.
Grandma Daisy Lockett. Ibae. 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 Brother Moody.
Brother Brian Tompkins and Tabiti Bowles.
To Tabiti Bowles and Brother Brian Tompkins, we
Yes.
say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
Julius Cuthbert.
Julius Cuthbert, we say Ibae. 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 Ibae.
To Louis and Fanny McCroskey, my grandparents, and to Fanny Lou Hamer, my grandmother's namesake.
All right. To Louis and Fanny McCroskey and our warrior sister Fanny Lou Hamer. We say Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Sister Wahida.
To my parents, Mabel and George Foreman and Dr. Jesse Dixon.
To Dr. Jesse Dixon and Mabel and George Foreman. We say Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe.
My grandparents, Ernest Hill and Florence Hill.
To Ernest Hill and Florence Hill. We say Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe.
To my grandmother, Tasker Simmons.
To Grandma Tasker Simmons. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. Ibae. Ashe. For the church board.
My mother, Mary Brunson.
Mary Brunson. To Mama Mary Brunson, we say Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Sister Linda.
My sister Karen Williams.
Karen Williams. To Karen Williams, we say Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
To the great singer, contralto, Marian Anderson.
Contralto, Marian
Great
Anderson.
singer.
Oh, Marian Anderson. Oh, Marian Anderson.
Marian
Okay.
Anderson.
All right. To Marian Anderson, we say Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
My mother, Dorothy Gallishaw.
To Dorothy Gallishaw, Mama Dorothy Gallishaw, we say Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
My grandfather,
Lee Bellamy. Lee Bellamy, we say Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
The reason why I don't not want to hear the names, we want to call the names out, is because we want to invoke their names.
That's
Right? And bring their spirit
That's right.
to us.
Yes, to the man who challenged the unfair labor practices in Major League Baseball, Kurt Flood.
Kurt Flood.
Flood.
Flood. Kurt Flood. Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
All right, family. Now our libation has been
Wait,
completed.
you forgot me.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
Okay. George Williams, my grandfather.
George Williams, Grandpa George Williams. Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
These ancestors may no longer be here in physical form, but with us keeping their names alive, they will always and forever live through us. Come on, picture, brother.
My grandfather, Duncan.
Duncan?
Yes.
To Grandpa Duncan, Baba Duncan, we say Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
Ibae.
Ashe.
To all the great ancestors who have lived and gone, who will forever live through us, our libation is over. Thank you for this time, and thank you, they will forever live and will be strong in our world and in our lives. We say Ibae.
Ashe.
That was great that he said Mr. Curtis Flood. He called that name out. For those who don't know who Curtis Flood was, Curtis, I forgot the team that he played for, but he was a baseball
Cardinals.
player.
Cardinals.
Thank you, the Cardinals. But on most of the fans that you see in the African American churches, there's a picture of Martin Luther King. Curtis Flood drew that picture. He was a portrait artist, and that's where that picture comes from. It's Curtis Flood did it. Now, without further ado, I'd like to reach out to call on a friend of mine who I have an incredible amount of respect for, who I'm just beginning to know, and her name is Sister Queen. I'll just say that. Sister Queen. I just want to say that Shambe was talking about how many dates I know, but he doesn't realize that I'm probably one of the first settlers in Patterson. So.
Peace, family.
Peace.
Thank you for giving me the space to speak on this occasion.
Respect.
It is with great honor that I read to you the bios and some words that I prepared for Chief TAMBUA Moody and Queen KIMAADA Moody. So thank you for having my voice today. I'll start with our sister Queen KIMAADA Moody. Look, she closed her eyes like, oh my God. She was born Sarah, the eldest of 8 children in Charlotte, North Carolina. Here she began her early years in school. Her parents were Charles and Katie Miller and her grandmother Sarah Briggs. They all migrated to Paterson in 1959. She attended elementary schools number 3, 8, and 5. In 1968, she was among the first incoming freshmen to graduate from the great JFK High School. That's impressive to me. Sarah and her husband, Chief TAMBUA, grew up in Central Presbyterian Church, which is now the United Presbyterian Church in Paterson. They wed in 1970, and from their union came 3 sons, Malik, Zatiti, and Kwesi. Am I saying your name right? Kawisi. While their children were young, KIMAADA and Chief TAMBUA worked with the Committee for the Unified Newark under the leadership of Leroy Jones, and we know him as Mary Baraka. Her interest in community activism and independent Black institutions began during this time of the Black Power movement and in the 60s and the Pan-Africanism during the 70s. The couple began their work. Let me talk about KIMAADA and others began their work in the neighborhood house at the Paterson Black Caucus to participate in the electoral process of getting community representation in city and county politics, which is critically important still, right? We're still doing that work of getting people involved in city and county politics here in Paterson. The Black Caucus was successful in running the first African-American slate for mayor, John Bell, county committee seats for the freeholder for Martha Bowles Festi, I'm sure I'm saying her name wrong, and Alonzo and Sarah, we know as Chief TAMBUA and Queen KIMAADA, were delegates to the first Black political convention in Gary, Indiana, that historic moment we are very grateful for, so thank you for doing that. In addition, when this couple and their sons moved into the Children's Haven Home for Boys in 1977, during the time of their nurturing and loving more than 100 sons, Sarah returned to college to complete her studies while raising 100 sons. In 1988, she graduated from Ramapo College with a degree in biological sciences and began her work in clinical lab sciences at St. Joseph Medical Center, Hospital and Medical Center. We're going to talk about her a little bit more. In 1999, her career in education began, and she was a teacher at PS number 6, which is now the Frank Napier School of Technology over on Clinton Street, so we appreciate that as well. At that time, it was under the guidance of Dr. Fulmore. Sarah got her master's in the art of technology, MAT, in 2003. As a first grade teacher, she brought her lessons to life for her young learners, which we appreciate about teachers, I can say as a teacher myself, when the classroom can come alive with replicas of ancient Egyptian history, and her students went on archaeological digs and they learned how to write and read in hieroglyphics. Anybody here can write and read in hieroglyphics? You missed out. Her students experienced the world's rainforest by designing the whole entire classroom to the rainforest with fauna and flora on each layer, then creating rain through scientific experimentation. This is what we call an education total immersion. Her second and final teaching placement until retirement in 2015, which was like yesterday, was at PS 14 under the guidance of Principal James and H. Sparrow. She has been awarded many, many times, and I won't read the list because I know for certain that it's not a complete list. And today, we honor her again, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. Her husband, Chief TAMBUA Moody, dedicated over 42 years. Raise your hand if you're over 42.
You're over 42.
Not half the crowd. Not even half. Over 42 years of service to the youth community of Paterson and Passaic County. He graduated from Ramapo State College, which is now university, in 1976 after completing a tour of duty in the United States Air Force. He and his wife has successfully raised 3 sons, as you know. They are here, and we are so proud of those men, too. I think we can look at children and say, you know, yeah, they did, you know, that's fine work. And these men are indeed fine work, so thank you for your work with your sons. I was saying that they raised these sons, and in addition to serving as house parents for Children's Haven, they provided a nurturing, supportive family environment for 8 boys, ages 8 through 16. This work occurred over a span of 13 years with care for more than, as you know, the number has risen in this bio to 150. Right. Chief TAMBUA served as the Executive Director of the City of Paterson Youth Services Bureau for 32 years. The agency offered 2 programs to the community. One is an after-school leadership and socialization program. It teaches the very critical skill of decision-making and provides individual and group and family counseling, as well as recreational activities for youth through from ages 8 to 18. And that work is still going on, and we have the honor of having the people who are still working on that program in the room today. What else? Let's see. This is going to take a long time, which we are grateful for. Parents, the parents also work with different in different phases of the program, so we want to involve the whole family in the program is what they did. The Total Lifestyle and Support Program is the last chance before incarceration for many youth, which is great, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people go from, you know, crib to prison. There's this critical, important injunction here that Chief TAMBUA provided for youth headed toward the juvenile detention system. Each youth has been court-ordered to participate. It is an 11-hour-a-day program that includes 3 hours of basic education, 5 hours of community service, and 3 hours of individual, group, and family counseling while under intense supervision. If they had any time after 11 hours of work to get into trouble, they were clever. Mr. Moody is currently retired, but continues to take calls from parents regarding many parental issues, and he continues to work with numerous civic and community organizations, which is another very extensive list, including the New Family Foundation, which I am a part of, and very, very pleased to have his guidance whenever we are able to meet, which lately is often. I created some words. I mean, what do you say when people like this are having stars named for them? And more importantly, what do you wear? I had to consult with my mother. Stars. What was once an ordinary night sky is now the home to the enduring legacy of Chief TAMBUA Moody and Queen KIMAADA Moody, who by example have taught us how to walk. Though we still stumble sometimes, we now know where we are going. Their footsteps have laid the foundation for all of us and our children's children to follow. They've taught us how to speak on matters that are worthy of words. Language for us stolen people has often bit our tongues. We is broken when our words are spoken, but our souls remain whole and transcends us beyond the oppression around us, not in us. So then, when we look to the stars, now, winking back at us and our entire lineage for an eternity are our people, our chief, our queen, Chief TAMBUA and Queen KIMAADA Moody, now in heaven as they are on earth. And we shall talk with our brother Richardson, who will unveil for us where exactly those twin stars are. And it is my great honor to be part of a ceremony that honors a celestial space for you. And thank you for just being here.
I'd like to thank Talina Queen. It comes to me now. And it normally happens after you sit down. It all comes to you. She did say something that I want to make note of. She spoke about School 4. School 4 is the first public school in the city of Patterson. It was built in 1857. And of course, Frank Napier became Frank Napier went to that school and graduated in 1990, I can't remember the date exactly, I think 1947. He graduated, and of course he became the superintendent of schools.
He was the principal there too.
That's right. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, you got me on that one. Okay. As a theme, if we can all at some point just remember, now let me say it this way. As a theme, I want to say if we can all kind of keep in our collective consciousness, do you remember? And that I'm saying do you remember because I always want you to remember all the work that these two young people have done for our city and for their families, and in some instances for all of our families. So as a theme for today, I'd like you to always keep that in your consciousness. Do you remember? Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to unveil a star and to unveil the naming of two stars for two young people here in the city of Patterson. The stars that I have named, the stars and the name that they have chosen, it is called a binary star. A binary star is two stars that, of course, are in the heavens, and the binary star, instead of them going around a planet, these two stars travel together, and they push and pull each other, and they are able to stay in their orbit, but they are, for lack of a better word, they're joined at the hip. And so when I started thinking about this project and looking at their resume and talking to them and listening to other people give their accolades and talk about them in their work, and I've been knowing, let me say this, I can't say I've been knowing Mr. Moody, I've been seeing Mr. Moody almost all my life. And I would see him, because I used to see him especially on Broadway. On Broadway, I used to see him quite often there, and almost in the same place all the time. I don't know if he was cashing a check or not, but I used to see him almost in the same place all the time. But I am just getting to know him and his wife, beautiful people, and I am, to my disappointment, I wish I had more time or I knew of them before. Not that they weren't available to me. It's just that maybe my mind and what I was involved with, which was not bad, our paths just never crossed until just recently. And the recently is just a couple of years ago. And of course, in the scheme of things, a couple of years ago is pretty short. That's not much time. So if they would come up, Mr. Chief TAMBUA. Our country, as well as our city and our family, there has to be somebody who ends up being the tie that binds. And the tie that binds, that makes the fabric of your city, makes the fabric of your family, and I know that that fabric can really just join the family together. And I thought what a fitting tribute to them is to present them with two matching sashes. And I'm sorry, I apologize, I forgot the pin. But I have two matching sashes that I would present to them as the fabric and the tie that binds the family. The second thing that I'd like to present to them is we all realize that our flag, the African American flag, and for the most part, any flag in any part of the world, the flag is a very important symbol. It's a symbol of status. It is the flag is three things. The flag, and it goes throughout history what the flag is and represents. It talks about it in the Bible. I'm sure it talks about it in the Quran. But the flag tells us who we are. The flag tells us what we are. And of course, in times of war and other times, the flag also tells us where we are. So with that being said, I would love to present this family with their own African American flag. Not that they may have one already, but this one is really special. It's special. Here we go. I'd like to thank you both for your tireless service in this community and to our family. I don't know if you'll hang up in the house or just put it on the side and express this reverence, but thank you so much. And last but not least, I'd like to unveil the stars. And both of them are in the Aquarius galaxy. And now I got to say this before I tell you exactly where it's at, because I don't have the right glasses on, so I can't even read the declination and the ascension, which are the numbers and the coordinates of actually exactly where the star is. But as you remember what I said a moment ago about, do you remember? And as a little boy, I have always been fascinated with the sky. Even to this day, of course you can't do it too much in Paterson, but and depending on where you are, I would always go outside in the night and just look at the stars. I would literally just stand there for hours just looking and trying to see what I can identify. And of course I couldn't identify anything, but what happens is over the course of time, when you look at the stars in the heavens long enough, you get familiar with various things. And of course the only thing that I do know of is the Big Dipper and the Big Dipper, the North Star, and a couple of other things that have to do with astrology. But now I can honestly and truly say that, and I'll give you the coordinates, I can honestly truly say, when I look up in the sky now, I will always think of these two people, because I will actually have the coordinates to look, and I say, I know those people, I know them. And of course, as I look and I say that I recognize, now let me say this, the star is so far away that I can't see it with my glasses, so you know that you can't see it. But I can point the direction by which you can find it. And if you go to there is the city of Paterson, the Passaic County, they have an astronomy class, and you can go there, Passaic County Astronomy, on Garrett Mountain, and you can actually go up there and you can actually find it. And I encourage you to look into that. That may be something that will interest some young people. But as you look into the northeast sky, you'll find yourself looking up, and as you look up, you'll say to yourself, I remember. And you remember the things that Miss Queen talked about, and you'll remember that the work that they've done. So that is part of what this project is about. Right. It's about remembering what I won't call you ancestors. It's remembering what our friends and our relatives have done for us. I will most certainly give you the coordinates after the program is over, and I apologize that I should have bifocals, but I need two pair of glasses, which I only have one. If I take these off, I won't see you either. I would think you were stars. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to unveil the stars. Can somebody read this for me, because,
I got this.
I'll read it
Oh,
if you like.
please.
Aquarius, the right ascendant is 22H 13M 06.76S.
Declination.
The declination is a minus 00 letter A 4209.5. That's where you will find.
That is KIMAADA's ascension and declination. And if you want, I will give you those coordinates, and you might be able to go online and find it. And there is, I know for a fact that you can, because the place that I got the star is the star registry, and you can look it up, and it will come up and tell you exactly where the star is, when it rises and sets in the area that you live. So I will give you those coordinates if you want. Here's the second one. You did a vote?
Yes, no, I didn't read. The second one is for, how do you say, Mr. Moody?
TAMBUA.
It is Aquarius also, and it's the right ascension. 22H 16M 45.52S. And the declination is a plus 00A 31.9.
I'd like to thank you, and this will a little closer. I'd like to thank you both. Your names are both written in heaven.
Go.
Peace, family.
Peace.
We love you all, to all our family and friends, and Jimmy Richardson, and Queen Talina, and Brother Sean Bay. We thank you so much. When Jimmy first approached me about naming a star, I said to him, "What do you mean, like a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?" He said, "No." And then my next question, when he was explaining it to me, "How do you do that?" And I'm just so overwhelmed at this moment, because for some reason, I've had an affinity for stars, and I don't know where it came from. When I first started teaching, my children, they were my children. They were my watoto, which is the Swahili word for children. They were with me six and a half hours a day. I was their mother. And as a teacher, you want to inspire your students to do the best that they can. So what I did, I got them thinking, and I said, "Okay, well, what do you see in the sky at night?" And they said, "Well, we see stars." And I said, "Well, why do you think stars are important?" And they said, "Well, they're nice and bright, and we can find them in the night." And I said, "That's right." And I said, "Stars have always been important." I said, "African people were the first people on the planet, and African explorers traveled the world. They studied astronomy and navigation. They found their way. The stars led them to the places that they wanted to go." And I says, "And you heard of the North Star?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "The North Star led the three wise men to Jesus." I says, "You are stars." And they said, "Yeah, that's right." I says, "Well, let's make up a chant." So we go, "We are stars. Yes, we are. We are stars. Yes, we are. We are stars. Yes, we are. We work and study to be our best." And that became my motto for all of my students. And then I was saying, "Okay, all right, stars." Then I started thinking, when we first bought our house, the couple that sold us the house had twin boys. And in the bedroom, on the ceiling, were nothing but stars. And I was saying, I think I'm going to take them down. And then finally, at night, when you cut the lights off, the stars had absorbed all the solar power. And I was saying, maybe I'll leave those stars. So then when our grandchildren started visiting, and we put them to bed at night, you know, kids are a little afraid of the dark. They would look up at the stars in the ceiling. And they said, wow, that made them feel at peace, gave them solace. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to take those stars down. we've been there 13 years and the stars are still up in the ceiling. So I had this natural affinity or fondness to stars, but I never knew where that came from. So now I see. Thank you, Jimmy. We are so grateful. Okay, man, a few words. So I just wanted you to know those stories.
Thank you so much. Ooh. Thank you. Attention, and I hope that you get a chance to go down Auburn Street. Okay. Thank you.
It's totally an honor to be a part of the legacy that was created for my mom, my dad, and to be able to continue to try to even walk in their footsteps and live up to the legacy that they've left, and have that opportunity to turn that over to my kids to hope for a better tomorrow, and hope that they can outdo any accomplishments that we may have made. But we are definitely humbled by this experience and proud of our parents and the community for acknowledging the tough work that my mother and father, Alonzo, Sarah, TAMBUA and KIMAADA have laid for the community of Paterson. Thank you.
Say something to your grandpa.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to my in-laws, KIMAADA and TAMBUA Moody. This is a huge acknowledgement. They're both superstars in the family, and they acknowledge celestial in a celestial way. So more amazing. So congratulations.
All right, hey, Peace family, KK McDaniel. I just want to say congratulations to Mrs. KIMAADA Moody and Chief TAMBUA Moody. Well-deserved honor of them to get a star named for them. They are wonderful people. I love them, and I'm glad to see the people who came out tonight. And I'm just always happy to honor those good people and other good people in the city. But certainly they are a beacon, and I think a star is appropriate because they are a beacon for all of us to follow. Thank you. Good. That was good.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank Jimmy Richardson for what he does. Certainly, he is operating in the African tradition of telling the story and recording it. Couldn't have picked a better couple. Many of us have been touched by their life. I know I've been touched by their lives. As the young lady was given the narration of their journey over the 44-year period. I remember as a little boy, even visiting their home. So, couldn't have picked a more fitting couple. And I salute both of them. Continue the work.
To Jimmy Richardson, our residential historian, we appreciate your work here in the city of Paterson. As a matter of fact, your work in general, you are truly a blessing. We thank you for this opportunity to have these deserving individuals from our community, our leaders, TAMBUA Chief Moody and Sister KIMAADA are truly stars, and by you doing this program, you've actually acknowledged that for the community to come out and support this program and to support them being the stars is a testament to who you are and to who they are and what God has blessed you to be able to do in our community. We thank you and we love you for your work. May God continue to bless you and guide your work, and we look forward to bigger and better things in the future.
I'm just totally overwhelmed. I'm trying to just be in the moment and appreciate all the great things that this community has given to us, and in our work, we wanted to give it back. We work with young people because they're the key to our future, and having a star, being a celestial being, is something that we never would have dreamed of, and this leaves a legacy for our family and for the community of Patterson to look up in the skies and say, when we transition, we're there looking down and hoping that they become the bright stars of tomorrow themselves.
That was beautiful. Mr. Moody, you got anything?
Pardon me?
You said it all?
But I'm just extremely humbled by this. Very humbling experience. And I appreciate everyone for coming out and all the support. Thank you.